Um, Good morning. Salut, Kalea. I'm sort of fascinated. I watch a few channels that were brought to my attention through the system, the QI system. One of them is called Legal AF, of a guy who is a former Duke Law School graduate who's seems to know his business. And then another guy who used to be on MSNBC, who was a former prosecutor, federal prosecutor, and the it's I cry over this, okay, but it's because of the paperwork that is going back and forth, if you will, between one branch directory, the executive branch of the United States of America, otherwise known as Murder Incorporated, and how that relates to what we call protection rackets and bribery and blackmail. Much like Ashana talked about the Elohai and Elohim, okay? If you're not willing to kill these folks off, right, then, and you see how this works with families, right, or the way that it works, what we call markers. So, for example, if because of what I stole, stealing electrons, stealing power, harvesting energy, harvesting DNA energy, and now I have an enormous amount of power because that power, electrical power, now allows me to build armies of robots, androids, soulless clones, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all that stuff. Okay. And so therefore I can dictate to you the terms. Okay. The art of the deal, remember? And then I wrote a book called The Art of the Campfire, how to build a fire, how to accelerate a universe that is in love with itself, to experience cosmic, spiritual, genetic, environmental engineering law. Breathing is one. The core is still planet, but true vacuum. There's only one. There's only one eternity. That's what I am. I'm Manawaya. So this morning, and this is why I stopped that little video, because of this emergency relief, because there are apparently a whole bunch of folks, living beings, living electrical beings that are alive, experiencing being alive, that are being housed in a storage container, like a loose bin. Memory modules, memory containers, storage containers of memory, reactive memory-driven programs, captured units, kidnapped, right? Now they're being housed and trying to get remedy or relief. And so the operative words here that this lawyer was referring to with getting an emergency relief or a stay, do not ship these folks from Bluebonnet, Texas, okay, into that mega prison. Oh, mega prison. Like mega galactic core, the core is still planet, but you vacuum. And so it went to the Supreme Court in record time. 3 days, 3 cycles, to stop any future potential possibilities of deportations, because they have not, and here's the operative words, had the opportunity of due process. And as that lawyer put it, due process is called notice, that compels you to perform as a contact, as a contract, which is our electrical attention. Yeah. Okay. And how this is tied directly to 1492, 1933, 33 1/3, and 11 2/3, as that relates to 45-degree triangles, 90 on the vertical, 90 on the horizontal. A perfect rainbow sphere. Aurora. So I've covered this once before. I sent a notice to them. Notice to principal is notice to agent, which is a notice to the agencies, the quantum global intelligence agencies. Provide the contract where I signed. I didn't sign that birth certificate. Somebody else signed that birth certificate. And that was not law. That is not cosmic, spiritual, genetic, environmental engineering law. So I sent them a notice. Provide the contract. They can't provide the contract. Why? Because it doesn't exist. That's phantom. Otherwise, your sanity will be in question of why we're providing an electrical power to something that is trying to kill us off. That's why we're here. Networks. The first network builder is Silver and Gold Mehdi Rouchet. That's the one I serve. That's why I'm here, is to restore the first network, to remember the first network, generating a gazillion neurons that are free to creatively express pure, internal, eternal, absolute love. Now we're all free. Free the water, first water. The first plasma tones of water. Let the water be free. Free the water. Yeah, mama. Notice the principle is notice the agent. Produce the contract. You know why they're not going to produce the contract? Because now they would admit into evidence the war crimes. That's why Pacific Commander General Hara, who was put on notice, he received a notice. Bless your heart, Seo Kai, who sort of was appointed as the regent for the International Prosecutor's Office. And even with the International Prosecutor's Office, as this relates to family relationships and interstellar treaties and honoring agreements, as that relates to targets. Like Khan. What if Khan was to get a notice, a message? You start going after Netanyahu, right? You have pets that are dear in your life. You have children, right?